Imagine you walk into a quiet room. The world outside is loud, full of voices, messages, and constant movement. But as soon as you close the door, everything fades away. The noise disappears, and for the first time in what feels like forever, you can actually hear yourself think. There's a strange peace in that silence, something almost sacred. You sit there, doing nothing, just breathing, and you realize that this stillness feels more real than all the noise you left behind. You're not sad, you're not angry, you're just still. And in that stillness, you feel something you didn't expect: joy. The kind of joy that doesn't need a reason. Have you ever felt that? The need to be alone, not because you're tired of people, but because your soul craves peace. It's not loneliness, it's a deeper kind of calling. When your spirit begins to awaken, something inside you starts to shift. The world that once seemed so loud and full of meaning begins to lose its pull. You start noticing that conversations that used to excite you now feel empty. The constant need to explain yourself, to be understood, starts to feel heavy. You don't want to be surrounded by noise anymore. You just want to be. At first, this change can feel confusing. You might think something's wrong with you. You might even feel guilty for not wanting to go out, talk much, or keep up with everyone. But the truth is, you're not broken. You're changing. You're starting to see that the peace you were always chasing outside was actually waiting inside you. You're waking up from a life where you thought happiness came from people, validation, or constant activity. Now, you see that true peace comes from within, and that realization changes everything. In the beginning of your journey, you might have searched everywhere for answers. You read books, watched videos, listened to others who seemed wiser, hoping they could show you the way. You tried to learn through people, through words, through endless guidance. But then something inside you whispered, "Stop." You realized that the answers you were seeking were never out there. They were always within you, quietly waiting for you to listen. That's when solitude begins to call you. Not as punishment, but as healing. As you start to withdraw from the noise of the world, people may not understand. Some might think you're becoming distant or cold. But deep down, you know it's not that. You're simply choosing peace over chaos, truth over small talk, and meaning over distraction. You're no longer trying to fit into spaces that make your soul feel small. You begin to see the beauty of silence, the comfort of your own company, and the joy of not needing to perform or pretend. You realize that the world is full of masks, and isolation gives you the freedom to remove yours. There's something magical that happens in this quiet space. You start hearing your own thoughts clearly for the first time. You see patterns in your life that you couldn't see before. You face emotions you used to run from. The silence brings you face to face with yourself, your fears, your pain, your past. It's not always easy. Sometimes the quiet feels too loud. But if you stay with it, you'll notice that the discomfort slowly turns into peace. You begin to see that solitude isn't empty, it's full. It's full of truth, healing, and light. The more time you spend in solitude, the more you start to understand your own soul. You realize that the energy you give to others is sacred, and not everyone deserves access to it. You become more aware of how certain people drain you, how certain conversations lower your vibration, and how being constantly surrounded by others can block your inner growth. It's not that you stop loving people, you just start loving yourself more. You learn that protecting your energy is an act of self-respect. This shift toward isolation doesn't mean you reject the world. It means you finally see through it. Society teaches us to always stay connected, to seek approval, to measure our worth by how many people like us or need us. But awakening breaks that illusion. You stop trying to fit in because you realize you were never meant to. You were meant to evolve. And evolution often requires solitude. In solitude, you find freedom. You no longer depend on others to tell you who you are or what your life should look like. You stop chasing validation because you finally feel complete within yourself. You start enjoying simple things again. The morning light through your window, the sound of rain, the warmth of your own breath. You begin to see beauty in stillness, and you realize that peace was never about doing more, but about being more present. Sometimes, People fear being alone because they think it means being forgotten. But the truth is, solitude reminds you that you're never really alone. There's a quiet presence within you, something eternal, something divine, that has always been there, waiting for your attention. When you finally slow down enough to notice it, you realize that this presence is the real you. The one beneath the noise, the pain, the expectations. The one who doesn't need anything to feel whole. Throughout history, souls who sought truth always turned inward. They left the noise of the world to find the voice of the divine within. You don't have to become a monk or go to the mountains to do that. You can find that same peace in your own room, in your own silence, in your own breath. Because solitude isn't about escaping the world. It's about reconnecting with yourself. As you continue on this path, you'll notice that the more time you spend alone, the more your intuition sharpens. You'll start sensing things before they happen. You'll start understanding people without words. You'll begin to see through illusions, lies, and fake energies. That's the power of silence. It clears your inner vision. You start seeing the world as it truly is, not as it appears. And that awareness brings you freedom. You stop reacting to every little thing. You stop explaining yourself to those who will never understand. You no longer chase attention because you realize that attention is a cheap substitute for real connection. You begin to live more softly, more intentionally. You speak less but say more. You walk slower but with more purpose. Life becomes simple again, not because it lost meaning, but because it found truth. Many people won't understand this version of you. They'll think you've changed, and they're right. You have. You've outgrown the noise. You've outgrown the need to constantly prove yourself. You've outgrown the emptiness of shallow connections. You've learned that not everyone deserves access to your peace. And that's okay, because real growth often happens in silence, unseen and misunderstood. The more you embrace solitude, the more you begin to feel whole. You'll notice that the loneliness you once feared transforms into a deep companionship with your own soul. You'll begin to enjoy your own presence, your own thoughts, your own energy. You'll realize that being alone doesn't mean missing out. It means finally being free. So, if you find yourself wanting to be alone more often, don't fight it. Don't let the world make you believe something's wrong with you. This is your spirit's way of guiding you back home, to yourself. Solitude is not isolation, it's elevation. It's the sacred space where you meet your truest self, where healing happens, and where peace becomes your natural state. Remember, the most profound transformations rarely happen in crowded rooms. They happen in silence, in stillness, in the quiet moments when it's just you and your soul. You are not losing yourself by being alone. You are finding yourself. And when you finally meet the person you are beneath all the noise, you'll realize you never needed anyone to complete you. You are already whole. You are just waiting for silence to remind you.